At the beginning of the story, we see a prison in Siberia. A bunch of German soldiers were lined up there. After World War II ended, Russia had captured a lot of German soldiers and forced them to work day and night in coal mines. The security in this prison wasn't that tight. Still, nobody tried to escape because the prison was surrounded by nothing but snow and was located about 14,000 kilometers away from any human settlement. So even if a prisoner managed to run away. So in the freezing Siberian cold, his death was almost certain. This prison was built right in the middle of thousands of kilometers of snow all around. That's why no prisoner even dared to think about escaping from here. But among these prisoners, there was one guy who was really sharp and wanted to break out of this prison to be with his wife and daughter. This prisoner's name was Clemens Forell, and he was sentenced to 25 years here. But Clemens definitely didn't want to spend half his life behind bars. No matter what, Clemens was determined to escape this prison. He wanted to. One lucky day, Clemens got a chance to escape and hopped onto a coal-carrying freight train to break out of the prison. When he saw the stars under the open sky outside the jail, he was overjoyed. But that happiness didn't last long. After traveling a short distance, the train was stopped, and when Clemens peeked out, there was a Russian soldier standing right in front of him, aiming his gun. Bad luck had caught up with him. He was caught and thrown into an open-air cell for trying to escape. The cold was brutal, and the night. The rain that day had messed up Clemens' condition. Instead of just a few hours, he was locked up in that cell for a full 2 days. Then 2 days later, the next morning, the prison guard came to him, took him out of the cell and didn't torture him or anything. He just said, "Your buddies have been waiting impatiently for you." When Clemens finally met up with his friends, they were all there with sticks and clubs, waiting for him. They were really angry at him, because his escape attempt had caused them to be starved for the past 2 days. Clemens finally understood what the warden meant when he said his mates were waiting for him. As soon as the other prisoners saw Clemens, they attacked him and beat him up badly. He got so badly hurt that they had to admit him to the prison hospital. The doctor there was also a German prisoner. When Clemens came to, he told the doctor, "I want to escape from this prison again, and I need your help." The doctor was amazed by Clemens' bravery, thinking, how can he want to go through all this again? Even after all that, he wasn't ready to give up. The doctor told him that escaping alive from this prison is impossible, and even if he did manage to get out, the freezing cold outside would kill him. But the truth is, if he doesn't escape, his death is certain anyway because the coal mines where he works have a high level of carbon, which gets into his body through the air and causes deadly diseases like cancer. That's why the doctor told Coleman he should make one last try to break out of this prison. He should do it. So after that, the doctor took out all his warm clothes, shoes, and other necessary stuff and handed them over to Clemens. He also told him that the Russian soldiers hide their food near the railway lines. Along with that, he gave Clemens a gun so he could protect himself. Actually, the doctor had gathered all this stuff in advance because he wanted to escape from the prison himself. But a week ago, he found out he had cancer and didn't have more than a month to live. Now he gave Clemens a lunchbox and he said, "If you make it out alive, make sure this lunchbox reaches my family and tell them that I'm no longer in this world." Once again, under the cover of night, the climber escaped, and this time he decided to go on foot instead of taking the freight train. He walked all night and kept going even into the morning because he was scared the Russian soldiers might catch him. When the warden found out in the morning that the climber had escaped from jail, he went straight to the doctor's room to question him. But before he got there, the doctor had already. He had taken the risk because he knew the warden would torture me badly after hearing about Clemens' escape. After that, the warden sent several Russian soldiers to search for Clemens and ordered them to capture him alive and bring him back. But even after days of searching, they couldn't find any trace of Clemens. Clemens got lucky because the snowfall was starting, which gradually erased his footprints, making it harder to track him down. Everyone started thinking Clemens must have frozen to death in this cold. But the warden just wouldn't accept it. Because the warden knew Clemens was really tough and wouldn't give up that easily, he ordered the search to continue. Meanwhile, we see Clemens pushing forward, full of energy, braving the icy storm. 9 days after escaping prison, he suddenly hears dogs barking. When he turns around, he sees a sledge coming straight at him. Before he can run, the sledge reaches him, passes over, and keeps moving ahead. Then Clemens' eyes snap open, and he realizes it was all just a dream. He had been walking on foot for the past 9 days, and by now he had run out of food. Hunger and exhaustion made it tough for him to keep going, but despite that, Clemens didn't give up and kept moving somehow. After a few days, his body gave out and he fainted from hunger. A few hours later, when he came to, he heard a strange noise around him. That's when he spotted a seal and his eyes lit up. He immediately pulled out his gun and tried with all his might to take a shot. But because of fatigue and weakness, his aim was off, and the seal started to run away from there. Clemens, who after many days had found a small hope to survive, wasn't going to let that hope slip away. He immediately chased after her, but while running, the ice broke beneath him and he fell into the water, hurting his leg. Even wounded, he kept chasing the seal. Just as Clemens was about to shoot, the seal hid behind a rock. Clemens moved forward and spotted the seal again. Before she could go back into the water, he fired his last bullet, and luckily, it hit the target. Seeing this, Clemens was over the moon because now he didn't have to worry about food during his journey. After many days, Clemens finally had a full meal and rested a bit before continuing his trip. By now, he was completely alone on this long journey, surrounded by nothing but snow. This kind of environment could mess with his mind. So he talked to himself, saying positive things to keep himself motivated to move forward. Meanwhile, he constantly checked his path using the compass, so he wouldn't get lost somewhere in this icy valley. Days passed like this. Then after walking non-stop for 2 months, Clemens spotted a small tree in the snowy field. Seeing that tree made Clemens so happy, it was like he'd found a treasure, and he ran over and hugged the tree. That tree was a sign that after these 2 months of walking, Clemens had finally crossed the icy plain and the forest was about to begin. A little further ahead, just like he thought, the forest started. The snowy region was ending. He was really happy in the forest. He gathered some wood, lit a fire, and for the first time in months slept peacefully. But whether the next day brought him peace or not, no one knew. Meanwhile, we see the warden still searching for Clemens. He ordered his search party to look for Clemens within a 500 km radius. At the same time, Clemens was making his way through the forest when suddenly a blizzard hit. The storm was so strong that even big trees were being uprooted. They started falling. Just as Clemens tried to move forward, a big tree came crashing down right on him. Luckily for Clemens, 2 guys passed by in the evening looking for gold. They saw Clemens and saved his life just in time. After that, the 3 of them moved ahead together, and after several days of travel, they finally got out of the snowy fields. On the way, they came across a river, so they made a wooden boat to cross it. While crossing, they started chatting and sharing childhood stories with each other. But then, the river's current got really strong and the boat started to go out of control. At that moment, one of the guys lost his balance and fell straight into the water. He couldn't swim and started to drown. Seeing this, Clemens jumped into the water and somehow managed to get the guy back to shore, saving his life. Meanwhile, their other friend just left both of them to drown and went ahead alone. That other guy was super greedy. He thought the 2 were dead and out of greed, even took their friend's gold for himself. After a while, when Clemens and the other guy reached the tent, when they arrived, the man got really angry at his friend and shot him dead. After that, Clemens and the man gathered their stuff and kept moving. They walked for months, hopping to find some sign of human life. But winter came back again and the whole forest was covered in a white blanket of snow. The stuff the man was carrying was pretty heavy, and it was making it hard for him to walk through the snow. Seeing this, Clemens tried to lighten his load and said, "Give me your stuff for a while." But then the guy got suspicious that maybe Clemens was trying to steal his gold too. So he attacked Clemens and pushed him down, knocking him out. After a while, Clemens came to and saw a pack of wolves heading his way. To save his life, he started climbing a tree. But as he was climbing, a wolf grabbed his foot. The branch was weak and snapped in the middle, causing Clemens to fall. Now he thought he was as good as dead. Just then, suddenly, the sound of a gunshot rang out. When Clemens opened her eyes, she saw that some wolves were dead and the one still alive had run away. Actually, some hunters from the area had come and saved her life. They took her to their village where the people treated her. After years of hard work, Clemens had finally reached a human settlement. Seeing people made her really happy. She stayed in the village for several days and the villagers took great care of her. One day, a letter arrived in the village, and it wasn't from anyone else but the warden himself. It said that a German soldier had escaped from their jail, and if anyone gave him shelter, they'd be called a traitor. So, even though he didn't want to, Clemens had to leave the village because if he stayed, the warden would punish the villagers too. Before he left, the villagers gave him some food and a hunting dog. Now, on this long journey, Clemens had a companion, so he didn't feel lonely anymore. They kept walking for days. Along the way, they spotted a wood factory, and the dog ran towards it looking for food. Now Clemens had to save his dog. They went inside together. The workers there recognized Clemens and took him to the boss. Once there, Clemens told the boss his whole story, which made everyone feel sorry for him. They fed him and put him on the train heading to Germany. Clemens was happy, thinking he'd soon be home. But what he didn't know was that the mill owner had already informed the warden about him. Now the warden, along with his guards, was waiting for him at the station. But before reaching the station, Clemens spotted Russian soldiers from a distance, and as soon as he got the chance, he jumped off the train and ran away. But bad luck struck when some Russian soldiers spotted him and started chasing him. Clemens quickly crossed the tracks. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the warden appeared right in front of him. Seeing this, Clemens' heart sank because he thought all his years of hard work were wasted. Just before the warden could catch him, Clemens' dog attacked and bit the warden, giving Clemens a chance to run again. He took off full speed, but then he heard gunshots behind him. When he looked back, he saw his dog lying dead. Seeing that really hurt Clemens, but even then he didn't stop and kept pushing forward with all his strength. After that, he climbed onto the bridge, jumped over a passing train, and managed to escape the warden's grasp. Days went by like this, and Clemens slowly kept moving forward on this journey. Before he knew it, the year 1952 arrived, and it had been a full 7 years since Clemens had escaped from prison. At that time, he was in Central Asia, wandering around a village fair. At that fair, he looked at all sorts of food and drinks. He really wanted to eat, but he didn't have any money, so he swallowed his disappointment and moved on. Then he noticed 2 girls selling pancakes at the fair. Clemens wanted to eat one, but his pockets were completely empty. Feeling down, he started to walk away. Just then, one of the girls took pity on him and broke off a piece of pancake to give him. At first, Clemens felt a little awkward, but then he thanked the girls and ate the pancake. Now in this fair, there was a man who had seen everything. After that, Clemens went to a church, and this man followed him inside. Actually, this guy used to be a prisoner once, so he didn't hand Clemens over to the police and tried to help him instead. Then he took Clemens to his home, where Clemens shaved after many years and looked like his old self again. After that, the man gave Clemens a new passport so he could cross the Russian border and get to Germany. Clemens was really grateful to him. Before leaving, Clemens thanked him and headed towards the Russia-Germany border. A few weeks later, Clemens reached the Russian border and showed his passport to the Russian soldier there. He was worried the soldier might recognize him or catch his fake passport, but luckily none of that happened. The soldier allowed Clemens to cross the border. Seeing this, Clemens was so happy he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Finally, he had reached the bridge that, once crossed, would take him back to his country. He was about to reach Germany, but just when he was halfway there, a bright light flashed in his eyes, and when he opened them, he found the warden right in front of him. When Clemens turned back, he realized he was still on Russian soil, which meant the warden could still arrest him. At that moment, Clemens' heart broke because all his years of hard work were about to go to waste. But then something happened that even Clemens didn't expect. The warden let him pass and allowed him to go ahead. At first, Clemens couldn't believe it, but still he gathered his courage and moved forward. The warden was actually quite inspired by Clemens' will to live and his bravery. That's why he didn't arrest Clemens and let him go back to his country. Right then, the warden said to him, "This fight was just between 2 soldiers, one me and one you, and you won. Now go live your life." Finally, Clemens crossed the border and reached his country, Germany. After that, he got close to his home, where he saw his daughter and wife. Just then. After that, the 2 of them left the house to go to church, and Clemens followed them inside. Clemens hadn't called out to his daughter yet because he was hoping that one day her father would come. When his daughter looked back, she recognized her father and ran to hug him. Seeing Clemens alive after all these years made his wife incredibly happy. Finally, the 3 of them embraced each other, and with that, this film based on a true story comes to an end. Hope you enjoyed today's story.